What's going on, Power fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we'll be speaking about Port Adelaide's great win over North Melbourne for round 6 at Adelaide Stadium that happened yesterday afternoon. Let's get straight into it and have a look exactly what happened. Also, a big thank you to everyone listening on Spreaker. If you don't know it already, every review and preview goes up onto Spreaker. So if you can't watch me, please go and listen on the go at Spreaker on Port Fan Radio. So tune into that. All right, Port Adelaide bet North Melbourne yesterday by 33 points in what was a gutsy victory after the week we've had going through all the trauma of Todd Marshall's father passing away. SPP's unfortunate investigation is still dragging along, and to top it all off, Hamish Hartlett doing his ACL on Thursday in a simple training drill. But for the boys to come out yesterday and really take on North at their own game at Etihad Stadium, which is a ground we have a big voodoo, whatever the word is, a big bogey ground that we have, and to come out like that and really put the pressure on early and take the game to North was great. And our defensive pressure was awesome yesterday, nullifying Ben Brown, especially early on in the game. He did end up with 4 goals, but that's not the point. They were all junk time goals. So well done to Port Adelaide yesterday. 33-point winners. Diving into a bit of the game itself, it was a resilient victory. A never give up attitude that we had yesterday, and played a 4-quarter performance, which was good to see. Especially at all the games throughout the year that we so far have played, there haven't really been a 4-quarter performance. We've popped on the board. It's always been, there was a 1 super quarter here or a great half. Perfect example would be against Fremantle and Sydney, where basically our second halves were perfect. Our 3rd quarter against Brisbane got us over the line. Rounds 4 and 5 were a bit dodgy in terms of how we played and form. And then this one, we back it up, getting some form back into the game. And it really worked well with our game plan structurally too. Having Dixon start in the ruck, which was awesome by Ken Hinkley to put him in straight away. He really set the tone for the game. We had a brilliant first quarter, 4 goals, well basically 5 goals to 2. We had an early lead, and basically by half time we just kept that steady margin all the way through, breaking out to 45 points at one stage. And we didn't really look like losing at all, which was good by the boys. It was really resilient, and we really kept the defensive pressure on, which was good to see. And players like Sam Gray, who were just absolutely phenomenal yesterday. He is an underrated player, Sam Gray, and he's a little pocket rocket that we have who just works so hard. Some of his runs and game plans that he does by himself, is just, they go unnoticed, and it's just great to see him really develop into the sort of player he is. He will always have his off weeks, as do all players at some stage. And last week was his off week, but to come back against North, have 19 possessions, kick 4 goals, is a credit to Sammy, and the way he played on the weekend really set the tone for the rest of the team to come out and really galvanise as a team. And they played together, backs against the wall with the 2 week we had, as I said. So well done to Sammy, a real Port Adelaide spirited player. Really, a whole credit has to go to the 6 backmen yesterday. Our back 6 were awesome against Ben Brown. It was a team effort, especially Tommy Jonas. They did end up with 7 goals, Ben Brown and Jared Waite, but 7 goals out of 10 in total is a great effort by the back 6. Darcy Byrne-Jones, Bonner, Houston, Homsch, Howard, Jonas, Cleary, all fantastic across that half back and full back line. So a real credit goes to them, and they have not faltered this year. It's always been some issue in the midfield, or our scoring hasn't been top notch, but our defence has been solid throughout the year. And a real credit goes to them, and well done to the boys for sticking at it and keeping one of the best forwards in the comp. Yes, only at the end of the day on paper it says 4 goals, but his whole game was just really nullified by how Tommy Jonas and the rest of the boys played down there. So a really good job by them. Credit has to go to the midfield too. They were just phenomenal throughout the day in the middle. Yes, we may have lost the hitouts 44 to 29, I think it was, but Charlie Dixon in the middle created a contest. It really helped us get our clearances. He had 4 himself, Charlie. And players like Ollie Wines had 6, had Robbie Gray, Jared Pollock, who was absolutely phenomenal yesterday, having 12 tackles. Defensively, he was brilliant, but also getting 34 possessions himself, running through the half-back flank onto the wing. He also kicked a goal, so Jared Pollock, phenomenal, and he's having an all-Australian year, I reckon, so far. His first 6 games have been absolutely brilliant, and to top it off, 156 fantasy points. So if you've got AFL Fantasy and you're thinking about a left-field option, Jared Pollock's your man. As I said, midfield was brilliant yesterday. Ollie Wines was a bit quiet, so was Robbie Gray. They were basically double-tagged by Jacobs, but for 20 possessions, they still had an impact. Boak, captain's game yesterday, really brilliant. Even though he had 22 out of his 29 disposals were handballs, he might want to fix that up a bit, but he was a link-up player that really helped get that transition footy working really well and really effective too. So well done to Boakey and the boys in the midfield. They were just top-notch yesterday. And then you move on to the forward line. Players like Justin Westhoff, who played more forward yesterday, was brilliant. His defensive pressure down there was awesome. He also got on the scoreboard, which was good to see. He kicked the first goal of the game. Playing that corridor footy, heading into the forward line, was another thing as well. We had that real link-up passage. It wasn't this long kick down the wing. We weren't caught up in all this pack footy where everyone goes to one spot. We were spread out. We were playing in the middle, a lot more corridor footy. And yeah, maybe it didn't end up always being a goal, but we would be able to bring our half-backs into the game and really use our speed yesterday. And even though players like Aiden Johnson and Don Barry didn't have a huge impact, they helped massively down forward and across the wing. So it was brilliant to watch and a real four-quarter performance. And to have 403 disposals going at 75% efficiency, which means 1 in every 4 disposals was ineffective, that's actually pretty good. 75%, not bad, and it's a respectable rate to go at. Maybe bump it up to 80%, be a little bit more effective going in the middle, but not everything's perfect, and it was a real high-pressure game early, so well done to Port. I also just want to quickly touch on a couple of stats as well. We touched on, I said last week in the review that our going inside 50s was really poor, and I think a lot of people said that. We had 15 shots on goal last week for 51 entries, which ended up being 35%. This week, we had another 51 entries. Coincidence. We had 25 shots on goal, going at 49%. That's about the rate you want it at, that 50% mark. Maybe bump it up a little bit more. But the more, if you're dominating the game and you're only having 50 or 60 inside 50s and you're getting 30 shots on goal, you're still going to win the game. So 50% is perfectly fine for me, and that's a real credit to the boys. Marks inside 50 as well. We had 4 for the whole game last week against Geelong. We ended up with 14 this week, so we tripled the amount basically. So that's a real credit, and that's see what happens when you play that more free-flowing game of footy. You get more opportunities, and having Westhoff play deep as well. Jack Watts got involved a little bit more yesterday too. Good effort, and we also had 12 tackles inside 50, so that pressure from Aiden Johnson, Jake Need, Sammy Gray, Chad Wingard was even up there yesterday. It's brilliant to watch, and that's exactly what we'd expect from across the board from our 22. That sort of game yesterday will hold up in finals. And it wasn't a game that just showed why we're a capable team of going a fair distance this year. It was just a game that really boosted our confidence a bit more. And the coming weeks against West Coast and Adelaide and going to China, that's where I expect to play our better footy. But a game like that yesterday really helps massively. So it's a real credit to the boys. They did a fantastic job. Alright, let's move on to our champion of the week now, and it goes to none other than Sammy Gray. And I know a certain someone that will love this, but champion of the week goes to Sammy Gray. 19 possessions and 4 goals. Set the tone throughout the whole game. It was a real pressure machine yesterday, and he worked so hard. So Sammy Gray gets your champion of the week. Alright, times for the pair votes. Obviously, as we know, 5 votes for a win, 3 votes for a loss. So, starting off with, I tell you what, it was a hard week to put votes in. And let me know in the comments below what you think the votes should be. But the 5 votes go as follows. 1 vote goes to Travis Boak. Set the tone early with his First quarter was a real barometer there, having 29 disposals in the end. Obviously, 22 of those disposals were handballs, 14 contested possessions, 5 marks and 4 tackles. Really hit the ground running, Travis, and really set the tone. So a good captain's game by him. He's been pretty good form, I'd say, throughout this year. Tommy Jonas gets 2 votes. He was really sensational against Ben Brown, and he also had 19 disposals and 7 marks as well. So good job by Tommy Jonas. He's having a sensational year, so another good game by him. 3 votes goes to Justin Westhoff, another bloke that's having a sensational year. 25 disposals and a goal, 8 marks and 5 tackles. Really working around the ground and doing really well. So and it's played more forward yesterday, which was really good to see. So well done by Justin Westhoff. 4 votes goes to your champion of the week, Sammy Gray. 19 disposals, 4 goals, and also 9 marks for a little man. That's sensational. And he really took the game on yesterday, which was good to see. And 5 votes goes to the man who's probably our best and fairest at the moment. Jared Pollock, 34 disposals, 12 tackles, a goal, 5 marks, and 442 metres gained, which was the highest out of anyone in the game. So, he gets your best on-ground performance. Well done, Jared Pollock. Alright, Port fans, that wraps up this round 6 review of Port Adelaide versus North Melbourne. It's good to be back on the winners list. And we move on to West Coast next week at Optus Stadium, our first game ever there. So, that's on Saturday afternoon, so tune in for that. Thank you very much for watching, as per usual. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe for plenty more Port Adelaide content. Tune in to the Portraits Podcast, 8 PM every Wednesday night, as we review and preview every game. And also, thank you very much for everyone tuning in on Spreaker through Port Fan Radio. Really appreciate that one. That's it. I'm done. See you next time, Port fans. Thank you very much for tuning in, as I said before. And as per usual, come on, ThePear.